because I was here as a mini course student. And I'm like, that's right, you were. So he had also been a student at one of our schools, not in our program, but so it was nice to have a former mini course student who is now a teacher in our district. This is going into his second year of teaching, being there together with the students. We also, in that program, I'm going to jump down to our kitty capers, which is just really nothing, it's not formal education, it's just kind of a byproduct that has happened for about the last 10 years. We have a group of students that stay beyond the 6 hours and practice for the kitty capers parade. And the really nice leadership component that happens, while our program is targeted towards ingoing 1st through 6th graders, it has developed a climate and culture that we have a tremendous amount of high school volunteers that return, and middle school children, usually going into about 8th grade, that haven't really found something for themselves in the summer. They're too young to work, and they love being involved. So they really took on the leadership. They ran that program in the afternoon. And we had adults there, but they ran that program. They had those kids practicing in line, and you should have seen their excitement when the kids won. Their group won first place. I think the 8th graders were more excited because they had been working so hard with the children. And then we also had our Escuelita Readiness, which is the only, at this point, pre-K program that we're offering in the district. So we served our migrant students. We had about, it started out with 30 and it grew to 40 by the end because people kept coming and my teachers couldn't say no. They're like, we're adding more kids. Okay, add more kids. So they kept adding students. As they were there on the campus self-testing, they found out there was a program, and so they had their students there. And we had a great success, and I'll share with you later. I don't have all the data for their pre and post begins because we just ended on the 29th, and as I said, it's a one-on-one test. So they, instead of using the last few days of class time, they decided to have the kids come back to appointments, and they're doing those post assessments now instead of taking the time from the program. In addition, our migrant program offers the continuous learning program. So our students that were not able to participate in the NASA, I always want to say SEMA, the NASA MA. Thank you, Mike. It hasn't the NASA MA or the Jump into Math or our site-based programs, and they are qualified for services under migrant education. We wrap around, get in contact with them, and do home visits and provide work for them to continue working on while they're not in site-based programs. So you can go to the next slide. The attendance data. We did have really good attendance data, and our preschool was close to, I would say, for the days that they were enrolled, was almost close to 100%. I think we had very few students that ever missed a day of the 19 days of preschool. Our pre and post writing samples was something we collected for our children in Explore the World, and we did see a great growth, and we saw it especially in our ingoing third grade students. Just happened to be the one where we had the most growth. Again, it's 19 days. They did a pre-assessment. They received some instruction, and there were certain things we were looking for on the rubric to show growth on a 3-point rubric. We also gave a technology survey, or a STEM, we called it a STEM interest, our attitude towards STEM survey, pre and post, where we asked them about things if they thought they were good at math, if they might choose a job in the future that uses math, what they think, how often do they think they use science. And it was nice to see, we saw a definite growth in a lot of them in their attitude towards, when I'm older, I might choose a job that uses math. That was kind of a thumbs down at the beginning. They were more positive about that thought at the end when they realized the different jobs that focus math. It wasn't just that. The other one that was one area where we saw a huge amount of change was in the I want to be creative in my future job. They really, a lot of them maybe didn't really understand that question at the beginning of that statement, and then had a much more positive. And then again, I am curious about how electronics works. Again, maybe it was an understanding of what that statement was saying when it was cold given to them at the beginning, but then there was a definite increase in the interest in that area and their perception of themselves. I will share the grant scores in the future because I don't have them all yet, so I couldn't give you that graph. In addition, we do have parent programs that ran throughout the program. In the morning, 3 mornings a week, our MAC Center was open while art class was going on crazy inside. Another room had access to technology where there's parents who are doing Rosetta Stone as well as parents who are studying for their GED and HEP. And so there's parents are receiving support in getting the help they need to pass the math assessment. We had English as a second language classes in the evening. We also had several workshops that touched on topics of parenting and health and then family dynamics. So really just want to thank the future career pathways of LG. Thank you.
So you can see that we are busy this summer, and students had a wealth of different types of opportunities. Yes, there was some intervention in math for our very low students. We had ELD, we had art, we had junior honors. We had it all, and we also did it through partnerships with our resources and our communities.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Wow. That was very impressive. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move on to action items.
Good evening. Superintendent Kim, members of the board, and deputy candidates, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. And I have action item 1A, amendment to superintendent's employment agreement. And I'll yield to the board president to conduct discussion around this. You have information regarding the employment agreement and addendum.
President Kim, may I?
Yes.
I'd like to read a letter for the public record. This is addressed to the Board of Trustees from myself. Thank you for considering an increase to my salary for the 2015-16 and the 16-17 fiscal year. I am truly humbled and appreciative of your confidence in my service to this district and the need to keep Salinas City Elementary School District salary competitive for future superintendents. With all due respect, I would like to propose a salary increase to become effective July 1st, 2016 versus being retroactive to July 1st, 2015. I have attached a revised, and you have a copy of this letter, of a revised addendum superintendent-based salary schedule. The revision keeps my salary at the same step for 15-16. Step 2 reflects a 4% increase for 2016-17, and Step 3 would include the proposed 3% increase for 17-18. That is my 3-year contract. In addition, I would like to decline the one-time off-the-schedule funds and would like this to be donated back to the general fund. As you've heard me say many times lately, I have fallen in love with this district. I believe that I'm here for a purpose, that I'm in the right place at the right time. I thank you for the opportunity to lead our great schools and such a dedicated and committed staff from all ranks, from classified to certificated to administration. It is a great honor and a privilege to serve as superintendent for Salinas City Elementary School District. And with your continued support, I will do my best to serve our students each and every day. So sincerely, I would like you to consider this as the addendum A, which is stated, as I said, step 1 would remain as my salary from which I was hired for 2015-16, and then the 2 increases would be reflected for this year and for the following year. Again, I do thank you for your support, but I think this is the right thing to do.
Any discussion from the board?
I just want to underscore that there has been a lot of good movement forward when it comes to curriculum, staffing, et cetera, along the way. And also the heart that is, you know, our superintendent has a great heart in the sense that she is receptive to what's going on at the same time, but at the same time she's working us to the board members, working us and getting information to her, or at least dialoguing with her as we move forward with these kids, young children, I should say. not kids. Yeah, I used to be called a kid, sure, I didn't like it, you know, that kind of stuff. But the children themselves, we have the parents, we have the children, we have the faculty, we have the staff, we have the equipments that we've been building on, little by little, but at the same time, we're looking at the future to make sure that we get more faculty coming in, or more candidates coming in to want to be faculty here. At the same time, look at ourselves as a community, because we are borrowing their future. You know, we're borrowing right now, that's an underscore, because they're working toward the future, but we're borrowing it right now, so we must take care of it, must take care of the people we're working with, living with, you know, supporting, etc. So I make a motion that we, well, that's my case. I'd like to make a motion.
Can we get public
After
comment
hearing
before you make a motion?
from-
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, of course.
Thank you. I'm
Mr.
prepared.
Estrada.
Adding on to the board member Garcia mentioned, I consider myself a hard worker, and a very committed worker. I've always taken pride in being such. So I admire people who are committed. I admire people who are diligent workers. And I very much appreciate you, Martha, for all the work you've done. And don't work the troops too hard.
Yes, I would like to say that this is a very grand gesture on your part, one that is very much appreciated by this board, but you have shown a tremendous amount of leadership to date, and I only look forward to watching what happens in this school year, which will be your first real full school year since you took over kind of someone else's administration. So like I said, I'm just humbled by your gesture, so thank you.
Well, I'd just like to honor our superintendent's wishes. I think that's marvelous. Thank you.
You know, it's very unprecedented and a little bit odd, some of the turn down pay. But I see where you're coming from, and, you know, just to let you know, the certificated staff, I believe, took 2% off schedule, but our classified staff did not. And so we voted to do, is that correct?
No.
That's not correct?
That is
No,
correct.
not off schedule.
The off-schedule amounts, certificated staff did take, classified staff elected to have their additional dollars be poured towards their benefit package.
So, you know, what basically she's doing is pushing back these proposed raises a year so that they're not retroactive to go back to last year. You know, so I'm all for it, and I appreciate the gesture. It's very magnanimous if you ask me. And, you know, appreciate your leadership. It's a wonderful thing. So, with that, do I have a motion to approve the amendment to superintendent employment agreement with the revised addendum A, which is, it differs from what's in the packets. Step one is present salary, $195,040. Step two, which would take effect July 1st, 2016, would be the $202,841 that is originally was step one here, without taking the 2%. And step three would be $208,926 to be effective July 1st, 2017. Do I hear a motion?
You hear a motion from Mr. Garcia?
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, so we got a motion second. Let's hear from the public.
Okay.
Comment? 2 minutes, please.
I believe you're supposed to open it up to public comment before you make the motion, but check with your lawyers. I have a slightly different take on this evaluation and merit-based pay, I guess is what you would call it. I've been up here before to raise these concerns about the evaluation process, so nothing I say here tonight will be new to anyone. I might as well voice it just for the record. There was a bit of misinformation disseminated by our superintendent on May 27th when she was contacted by KSBW about the prospect of continuing the SCI program at Lincoln. Specifically, Ms. Martinez stated that no decision had been made on closing the program, despite the report 2 weeks earlier by Ms. Chavez that SCI would no longer be offered at Lincoln. Second, by the end of the board meeting on June 13th, I believe, it might have been June 27th, but I'm pretty sure it's the 13th, the superintendent was instructed by this board to maintain status quo at Lincoln in terms of creating an SCI kinder class. So we did take it upon ourselves to disseminate that information to the community in the interest of generating enrollment for our school district. But come to find out, parents came down here to the district office, parents who live just blocks away from Lincoln, and they were told conclusively that there is no SCI program. Therefore, they must send their child to another school. So on those 2 performance metrics alone, first the implication of a purposely dishonest statement to the media that had ramifications on incoming students at Lincoln, and then disobeying a directive from this governing body to maintain status quo. I mean, where I come from, these are terminable offenses, and I've had serious heart-to-heart conversations with folks who are facing termination that when an employer can demonstrate conclusively that these infractions have occurred, they are on good standing to discipline. Independently, they're very serious, but here I feel like the behavior is just being rewarded. And maybe it's just because I look at accountability through a much different lens than all of you do, but you know, Amy, I did send you a request for the methodology that you used in evaluating the performance. I appreciate you forwarding that on to Mr. Kim and Ms. Martinez. Unfortunately, they haven't replied. So I'm really struggling to understand the board's justification for increasing the salary by what was originally 27% from where it was 2 years ago.
That's your 2 minutes.
But now it's,
Mr. Gard.
but now even when you remove the 2% off calendar or off
Mr.
schedule.
Gard, I believe your time is up. Is it your point that you would rather us terminate Superintendent Martinez?
Yes, I think $195,000 is more than enough to justify holding the position of superintendent in this city.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they reduced it.
Okay, I think we have a motion on the floor in a second. No, it might have been a little premature, but
Yeah, Brown
I will,
Act.
I'll call for a vote. Everyone in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
No surprise.
Okay, so I am going to address item B1, provisional internship permit. So we've had discussion throughout this evening about the hiring that took place over the summer, and you have before you a permit stating the names of 9 teachers, and these teachers have all met the requirements to be eligible for this provisional internship permit. And if you look at the individual applications, it notes the various attempts we made to hire fully credentialed teachers, the attendance of job fairs, the posting of the vacancies, and so forth. And we were not able to fill the vacancies with fully credentialed teachers, leaving us with this option of seeking the hiring of provisional internship permits on behalf of these individuals. So I'm asking that the board approve the provisional internship permit for the teachers that are listed.
I move that we approve these internships.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Oh, let's hear from anyone from the public have any comments or questions about this? Aye. No? Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the provisional intern permits for those people listed here: there's Avalos, Barr, Castor, Coate, Frago, Cater, Ruiz, and Salgado. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes.
Okay, so the next item, B2, is the maintenance operations secretary job description. So you have before you tonight a revised job description. The previous job description was decades old and did not reflect the duties of the current maintenance operations secretary. So we met the union leadership and the district, and we had a committee to ensure that the job description reflects the duties, the actual duties of the maintenance operations secretary, and in turn also review the compensation, and through comparable awards committee provided a recommendation for a range. So I'm asking that the board approve the revised job description as well as the revised compensation.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Okay, I'll entertain the motions.
I move to accept the maintenance operations secretary job description.
I second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adopt the revised maintenance operations secretary job description. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes.
Okay, so now we're moving on to B3, which is the wrap-up visual and performing arts teacher job description. And this was a job description that arose from the interest of providing visual and performing arts teachers to our students with the intent of providing them enrichment, broadening the scope of what they're taught to include visual and performing arts. So this job description did not exist, and we're putting that before you, and also with the intent of hiring visual and performing arts teachers for this 15-16 school year. And the compensation will reflect the salary scale, the current certificated salary scale.
Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Oh, I'm sorry. I overstepped. Let's, do you have any questions or comments from the board? No? Anyone from the public have any questions, comments? No? All right.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion on this item before us. That's the VAPA, is it VAPA? VAPA teacher job description.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the job description for a visual and performing arts teacher. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0, motion passes.
Okay, so item B4, just like you saw the job description before you on that, but now we have a PE, a physical education job description. And this work was done in collaboration with Ed Services and specifically Ron Dillander and his leadership in curriculum instruction. And as you can see, we're seeking the employment of 2 full-time PE teachers. And it's a win-win situation where you're going to provide leadership in the area, the expert area of physical education, as well as the opportunity to free up the general ed teacher, the classroom teacher, to have increased teacher collaboration. So we're seeking approval of this job description so we can in turn fill these vacancies.
Questions from the board? What was the status quo before this job description? Yeah.
It falls under the purview of the teacher, the classroom teacher.
Oh, so the,
Yes, we'd be single subject PE teachers that would release the classroom teachers, so they in turn take the lead of the group. You know what you see at a junior high and high school setting.
These were all part of the LCAP, contingent, the additional positions, and the ability to have, I believe, some release time for teachers.
Ms. Robbins.
So, just some clarification first, because we've had 2 music teachers and we get 30 minutes every other week per site. So we get 2 teachers for PE and 2 teachers for visual and performing arts. Is it visual performing arts? would it work the same way, kind of like 30 minutes every other week?
And now we'll go to teacher services, Elizabeth.
To be honest with you, you're right. When we fill, to address this question, when we fill, hopefully, successfully fill these positions, we will go from roughly 1/2 hour every other week of teacher release time or collaboration time to increase it by 2. So that would be, in essence, 90 minutes. But what we're really hoping to do is to create schedules that concentrate that time. It isn't necessarily really effective to have a 30-minute block. It isn't a productive, efficient use of time. So what we are looking at is some creative scheduling so that teachers could have a longer block of time, not additional 30-minute blocks. We don't have the schedule yet. Once we hire the teachers and know the number of teachers that we're dealing with, that will drive the amount of time that teachers can be released. As we know, there is a teacher shortage. We're hopeful we'll get 4 additional ones, but in terms of how much actual release time that we'll provide, can't say.
Thank you.
Ms. Rodriguez, question?
Quick question, Gabriela Perez, question first. I was just wondering how this is, it was stated that it's to provide the teachers for collaboration time, but it's only 2 arts teachers, and does that mean that the arts teacher gets 64 students each, so that all 4 teachers in the grade level can collaborate during that time? The same for the PE teacher. Do they have 1 class, or do they have 2 or more classes that they serve at the same time?
I think right now we don't have the logistics worked out in terms of minutes and time, but we certainly do know that if we are able to hire teachers, that this will increase the collaboration time that we have released during the day. What that looks like, we don't know. It's really dependent upon the hiring of these folks, and then how we can, as Lori says, look at blocks of time. Might be every 2 weeks, but you get an increased block of time. So I don't think we have the logistics worked out. We're approving the job description right now, and that really is what we're looking at so we can post the job.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, teacher, plain old teacher at
what I find that when we okay these job descriptions, then it's right on the way to hiring, which already sounds like, if we can find these people, we're going to hire them. And then we're going to work on the schedule, and it's a little troubling to me that it seems to me putting the cart before the horse, that we haven't figured out how this is all really going to work and given it enough thought that you can kind of answer at least some general ideas of how this will work. So I want to say I'm a little dismayed that we are hiring people without having a little more of a plan. If these people get hired, then as I've seen in the past, these things tend to kind of go then in a few weeks and then a month, and there's nothing really clear because they don't know what they're doing. I've seen it happen in other cases. So I would like to see the plan first. I mean, yes, we can do the job description, but there should be a plan first before we try to hire people. There should be some real concrete ideas of what we want to do, not just what we know is going to help with collaboration. 30 minutes is not going to be enough. And as Gabriela said, that was my first question, was like, how does that work? You have 2 PE teachers, one comes to the school. How is that really going to help with collaboration? And I'm not hearing explanation. So that's
Mr. Hoffman? Well, good.
Maybe they'll both be at the same school at the same time.
Maybe all 4 of them
Maybe
do the
at
same
same
time.
time.
That's the plan.
Okay. So does anyone want to make a motion to approve this job description for the physical education
I move to approve the physical education job description.
I would second your motion.
Okay, motion is second to approve physical education job description. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, 5-0, motion passes. You just make it on the verbal record? Okay. Court action, item C1. And it says at the top that subject speech and language pathologist services, and it says consent. I'm going to change that to action.
So good evening, Board President, Board members and Superintendent Martinez. The rationale for having a speech and language pathologist join our team is really we've been advertising for a long time to try and attain a speech and language pathologist, and unfortunately they're very difficult to attain, so we are looking to contract with a speech and language pathologist at this time to serve our special education students on IEPs.
Thank you, and I think we were remiss not to say welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very fortunate to have Dr. Jan Hamilton join us, and what's that?
I said we had a couple of others that were.
Is that right? I apologize, we just jumped into things. What's that? Do we have any questions? Comments
We need the
from?
services, so. Let's do it.
Thank you.
I will make,
Okay, go.
I make the motion that we accept this recommendation to award meeting speech and language services.
Okay, there's a motion
I'll second it.
and a second to approve the contract for speech and language pathologist therapy service. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, it's 5-0. Motion passes. We're now on action item C2. Yeah, he's here. Ron, you're up.
Got my necktie.
Good evening, board members. Superintendent Martinez. The administration recommends that the board approve the contract with CAM Solutions for language arts curriculum development workshops. Units of study.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's just, I know that you met during the summer to develop units of study. How did that go? Was it?
It went extremely well. Yes, the teachers who were involved with it and the other administrators involved with it as well have had a wonderful experience. It's definitely very, very challenging. But one of the things with working with Miss Cam is that we all are also getting a really intensive staff development as well. Being able to look at our standards, being able to take the things that we already know that we want for our students, the goals that we have from the data we've collected, be able to make units that are good for the students and also good for us as well. And her expertise is very valuable because she's had this experience and she can help to filter things for us. So we're getting the help from her, plus we're getting the expertise to develop our own in the future.
And did any units of study get completed? I mean, would we be able to go and look at something in action as a result of this summer's work?
They haven't completed any units yet. Our goal is to try to finish one by the end, with the approval of this contract, we'll work some more and finish one by the end of August. And we are confident that the grade levels will be able to do that. Our goal is to this year, if we can, again, work with Ms. Cam and give the teachers the time to do it, is to develop 3 units.
Throughout the school year? Would it be the same group working on those 3 units that you had during the summer?
It would be, and if there are additional personnel who would like to also be involved with the process, we'd be happy to talk to them if we would develop. You're welcome.
Questions?
Well, it sounded like a very exciting way to go for me. I enjoyed reading the materials. I think we should do that.
Okay, anyone from the public have any questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
Well, move we approve the contract with CAM Solutions.
Okay, second.
I would second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve this contract with CAM Solutions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Say no. That's 5-0. Motion passes. Ms. Summers.
I'm bringing forward to you another contract that we recommend that you approve. It's with Low Fishes and Computers, a local nonprofit. This is another exciting partnership that we're embarking on. Low Fishes and Computers refurbishes computers and provides training and technical support to low-income families. Christian Mendelson, the director, is in the audience. So what this contract will do, it will provide digital literacy training for our parents. There will be 8 sessions offered in our school sites, and the classes, there will be a total of 5 classes, and the staff of Low Fishes and Computers will be providing the training, and then for the participants, for the entire remainder of the year, they can have free technical support in their offices or over the phone.
Do they get a computer too?
Not to keep.
Oh.
No, but what we are doing, not part of this contract, is that we will be purchasing and lending out for the duration of the course Chromebooks that can go home. They're the same devices that the students, the children of our adult students will have at home, so that they can have some side-by-side learning. We do know that through cell phones, our families do have access to the internet, but it's different when you have children coming home that are doing research at school and accessing resources on the web, and this will allow truly our children, our students, to be teachers of their parents in the home and to share a learning experience. They will, of course, qualify for the refurbished computers of Low Fishes and Computers, which I believe generally run for about $50.
Just for the computer or a complete set is $100.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions or comments from the audience? I'm sorry, the public? Do we have a motion? All right, we've got a motion to approve the motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the contract for services between our district and Low Fishes and Computers, Inc. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, 5-0. Passes.
The next contract is for tutor learning services, and again, once again, it's for specifically for students with behavioural needs in our district that exhibit some difficult behaviours that have gone through the process of interventions within the classroom, and then Tier 2 interventions as well, and supporting those students with proper behaviour analysis to support those students in their learning, both in general education programs and special education programs.
I have a question. So the contract reads that or the fiscal impact in the report to the board reads that the estimated total cost for the 2016-17 school year is $843,790. then when you turn the page and you look at the contract is only through January the 17th for that amount of $843,790. Is that for the entire, is that money for the entire year, or is that for a semester?
That's just for the half of the year. I've actually contacted Tutor Learning Solutions, and we'd like to see some quantitative data for students entering into the program and then exiting the program as well, moving forward, and also empowering our staff and building capacity within our district as well, with their support as well. We have experts in the classrooms now to support students, but also empowering our own personnel as well in their techniques in the classroom setting.
So there's a chance that more than likely we're going to come back in January or late December or something and have another contract for the rest
I
of the
think at
year.
that time that would be correct. However, we will be looking at quantitative data and hopefully building capacity within our district as well to support students and their needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In addition, one of the data points that we found out that we have had a significant increase in the number of special education students requiring specialized services. And what we're seeing is really an escalation in these costs. And but I would just say that this board analysis be corrected to indicate that this is, beginning in August 2016 through January 2017.
Yes.
Mr. Ramos.
Going a bit crazy flipping through all these pages. It's not in my agenda, and that is not in my packet. It's not. And it's not even on my agenda, as item 4. No.
On the agenda back there.
No, on my packet agenda.
You got to revise.
Yeah. I did not get to revise.
Yeah, I had some sort of revise, and then I'm sorry, I forgot to fill in the packet.
I would like to see the description.
I kind of wrote notes on it, but you can have it.
Did it get properly published?
It did.
I think we revised it.
He just didn't get his revised.
You're okay.
$22,000 a It's for the semester. 42 grand.
Years ago, the average was 30, 35, something like that.
Quick question. As we in the public don't have those documents of the contract in front of us, these $800,000 something for one semester, how many tuition aides does that finance?
I believe the majority of the students had one-to-one personnel with them. And they also had the support, once again, of a board-certified behaviour analysis. It works with all the students.
Anyone else have questions, comments?
That didn't.
Yeah.
She said somewhat like one-to-one.
No, how many students? How many students will serve?
I'm sorry?
How many students will be served?
It says 20.
It says 20 in here.
Oh, thank you, we don't have them, yeah.
20 students are.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much.
20 students.
20 is,
Okay, thanks. We can do the math now.
sorry, that does prompt a follow-up question, because Ms. Martinez did say earlier that there's been a need, a drive to increase the services because there's an increase in the special needs children, special needs student population. So really it would be helpful to present that data to the board in terms of, okay, what was the population last year versus this school year and into the incoming 16-17 school year, so that you have that, you know exactly how much in services you need to augment that increase, I guess. If anybody knows that.
Anyone else?
Well, I'll move to accept the contract with Tucci Learning Services because I don't think we have a choice. So, and I don't mean that in a negative way. We just at this point are at their mercy. So, yes, thank you, Carol. We don't have the capacity yet. So. This would certainly give us motivation to begin to build capacity. But I do so move to accept this contract with Tucci Learning Services.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. I think Ms. Perez has a question.
I had one comment to make. It was $820,000.
$846,000.
Oh, $846,000.
No, excuse me, $843,790.
About $42,000.
So that's $42,000
Per
per child per semester. That is $84,000 a year. That is way more than the average teacher ever makes. Isn't there some kind of a disconnect there? Just food for thought.
Food for thought, okay, thank you.
I just want to say, as a long-time regular teacher, as a special ed class teacher, I have worked numerous times with Tucci Learning Services. I understand the, it's kind of a horror to think about that amount of money, but they have layered services that we don't have the capacity for. We do have 2 BCBAs in our district. We did have 3, we lost 1. But Tucci has a one-on-one aide that works in the classroom. They have a supervisor that comes in at least weekly. If a child is having a real difficult time, they might come in every day. There is a real layering of the services, so it's not that a one-on-one aide is being paid $84,000. That's also paying for a supervisor for the one-on-one aide. They also have their own BCBAs that will come in if there are needs. So there's a real layering of services that is provided. I also have worked with numerous district one-on-one aides. Our one-on-one aides at this point, that's where, provided the word capacity, our one-on-one aides at this point do not have the training that is needed, that the Tucci people have. They also, I don't know, with only having 2 BCBAs, that there is, they would not be able to provide that kind of supervisorial supervising of the one-on-one in the classroom setting. So there is a place for the district one-on-one aides. I've had them in my classroom also, but there's a